Before we start this video, I just want to say as well that this week on Sunday, I will be sharing my very first Get to Know Me, and there is still time to get in any questions that you might have for me. So please comment them just down below and I will try my best to answer as many as possible on Sunday. So please don't forget any questions that you have for me just down below. Hello lovelies, my name is Stephanie and welcome back to my channel. And I know what you're thinking, it's a Wednesday, what's going on here? Well, in case you missed my I'm back video, which by the way, what are you doing? Head on over and go and watch that. I mean, come on, it's just over there. So if you guys have missed my most recent upload, then you will know that I'm starting to upload twice a week instead of once a week. So more content for you, more work for me. It's kind of a good system, you know, it works, we like it, we'll see. So in this week's video, I wanted to touch on and kind of recap my transgender journey so far. This is a video I have made in the past, but it's not kind of currently available. So I wanted to remake it on my new channel in my new style, which I hope you guys don't mind. As always, please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Please don't forget to also hit that subscribe button if you would like to see more content from me in the future. And maybe, you know, click that notification bell if you feel like it. I'm not making you, but maybe you should. Amazing. Let's dive in to my transgender journey. So, of course, my name is Stephanie. I was born on the 15th of March 1997, and I was born in the southwest of England to my lovely mum and dad. For those of you who've been watching my channel for a while now, you'll know that I am a post-op trans woman. So I had kind of a pretty normal childhood growing up in the southwest. I mean, there was always kind of something off for me, and I knew that I was very feminine from kind of about the age of 3, which is really when you start to develop. You know, I would wear my sister's dresses or steal my mum's makeup or put on someone's heels and things like that. Whenever I was playing a game, I'd always be playing kind of the mum if we were playing house, or the wife and things like that. And it was all very kind of hyper feminine and things. So I think from a very young age, I knew that I was different. And I think also everyone around me knew I was different too. So this continued for most of my childhood, and I started to get severely bullied during kind of the last few years of primary school, and then obviously going into secondary school. For those of you overseas in the United Kingdom, the way that the schooling system works is you have kind of a primary school, which is the ages of 3 until 10 or 11, and then you have a secondary school, which is from the ages of 11 to 12 to 15, 16. And then you go off to college, which is 16 to 18. So that's kind of the system in the United Kingdom anyway. So I was being quite severely bullied in my last few years of primary school, kind of around that age where children start to notice things a bit more. I think my hyperfemininity was really being kind of known, and I had always had internalized feelings of wanting to be a girl. And actually, my next door neighbour growing up was transgender, and so I was very aware that there was this idea that you could change your gender kind of if you wanted to. So I think that probably really helped in my development, was kind of knowing that this was an option. So that's definitely kind of something that came into consideration. So this takes us on to secondary school. I started at secondary school in 2009, so I was 11 years old, and I was severely bullied off the bat the entire time. There were no kind of peaks and falls or anything like that. My bullying was just horrendous from start to finish in school, which was really, really upsetting, and it just wasn't okay. And they would call me kind of gay, and they would make up things about me, and you know, it was just that classic kind of secondary school, high school bullying, which really kind of affects you as a person. It was at this time as well, this kind of developmental time in my life, which I think secondary school is for so many of us. You know, it's the time where we discover who we are and who we're going to be and things like that. So it was already a huge thing that was happening in my world. And it was around my first year, kind of midway through my first year, that I decided to go and get some counselling about what I thought was just being gay and being homosexual, which was a really big step for me when I was younger. I was always really, really depressed, and I had quite a strained relationship with kind of my father and my siblings, and so I decided to go to counselling. So it was only kind of really after about a year's worth of counselling with my counsellor at school and kind of talking through things that we started to mention the idea of being transgender, but it wasn't referred to as being transgender when I was younger. It was referred to as having kind of gender dysphoria. So gender dysphoria was kind of what was recommended that I may have, and that might be the path that I follow going forwards. And I didn't kind of equate that to being transgender at the time. And then it was in that kind of following few months where things really changed, where I decided to try and pursue being a girl. I did kind of female affirmations. I grew my hair out long and I wore hair clips and started experimenting with makeup and stole my older sister's bras and things like that. And it was after a few months of that I decided it was something I wanted to kind of pursue full time. And then I came out to some of my friends at school, but word got out, and then I realised I needed to come out to my family. So I came out to my family when I was roughly about 12 years old. And what happened next was a year of me trying to pursue being transgender, people not taking me seriously because I was so young, trying to see doctors and being recommended and waiting for counselling and things like that, having pushback from my family, pushback from my sister, and pushback from my school. I didn't really feel like I was welcome kind of anywhere. And it's at this point when I was 12 years old that I fell into a really dark place and got really, really depressed. I tried to take my own life a couple of times when I was 12. And it got to the point where it was so bad and I felt no one was taking me seriously that I wrote my parents. I actually wrote them a letter. And I wrote them a letter saying that I wanted to die. And you know, I was 12. I was 12 years old to write a letter like that to my family. And that's when they started to take me seriously. That's when I was referred from my therapist to the Tavistock and Portman Clinic in London, which is the kind of young person's gender identity clinic in London. And I went there and I started to see people. And then it was around my 13th birthday when I started actively presenting as female. My 13th birthday was the first time I'd ever bought any female clothes, like a full outfit. And I remember I went into Peacocks and buying like a peplum top and like jeggings, because it was during the whole jeggings thing. And just feeling like great, being like, this is me, this is who I am, you know. And so my 13th birthday was really kind of a turning point for myself. It was quite difficult for me because I had just lost a grandparent, the one I was closest to, the most artistic one, the one that I was most looking forward to having a relationship with as an adult. And when she passed away, I kind of felt broken and like it was my time to really kind of do this. But I will always regret the fact that she didn't know. And I'm not a religious person, but sometimes I hope that she's looking down on me and she knows who I am and who I was always meant to be. So after my 13th birthday, things in terms of my transition got better. I presented more and more female. During the summer of 2011, so while I was 13, we changed my name via deed poll on the 15th of August 2011. So I left year 8 as my old self, and then I came back in year 9 as my new self, and we had changed my name and we were all super, super excited and things like that. And I still had a really poor relationship with my father and a really poor relationship with my older sister, who was angry at me for coming out while she was still at school and the way that that impacted her kind of schooling. But to me, it just felt like it was what I needed to do. And the rest of school for me, once I started actively transitioning, I wasn't as depressed as I wasn't trying to commit suicide anymore and things like that. I was still hurting And there was still so much bullying every day. You know, I would be bullied at school. I would be bullied through my local town where people would throw stones at me. I was the only openly transgender child within a kind of 5-school radius. So I really had like a target on my back for the next few years. And so the next few years were just me going to school as myself, being told that what I was doing was wrong, and just trying to deal with that, trying not to hurt myself. And this kind of leads me on to a really important point. So when I was a teenager, when I was very, very young, when I was about 13, 14, and I was pursuing gender reassignment and gender affirmation and starting to identify as being transgender, I had to make some very important sacrifices in order to present as female. So I had yet to go through a male puberty because my puberty had been suppressed because of various other medical conditions. And I was given the choice by my doctors to either take testosterone and develop those things and become less ill, or to not take testosterone and have a much shorter lifespan and be really quite poorly for a very, very long time. And I chose to sacrifice my health. You know, I didn't want to go through a male puberty, and I wasn't thinking about having children at the time. And, you know, and so I went through that, and those were really huge decisions to make at such a young age. You know, I was making decisions on whether or not I could physically have children, and my kind of general health, how not going through puberty would affect that, which developed things like osteoporosis and really major medical conditions. So it always really angers me when people look at me and they're like, oh, a passing trans woman, you know, she's never struggled. But my passing came at the sacrifice of my long-term health. And so that was really a difficult choice to make. So that was kind of my teenage years, and that was how I got to kind of where I am. I finished school, I got really good grades, I went to my prom and I looked fabulous. So to all of the people at school who bullied me, I just showed up to my prom and I was like, and what? I look amazing. And so I finished school and then went to college, and now I went to art college, which was in the next county over. So I traveled like an hour there every day, and it was really, really fun. And I had the best time at art college. People were so accepting of me, and I came out on my own terms and things like that. And it was just really, really amazing. Now I did have some bad experiences, especially with relationships. It was around this time that I was physically assaulted for being transgender as well. I would still receive verbal assault whenever I got home to my county on the train. I'd be scared sometimes getting off the train if my dad wasn't there to pick me up, and it was still really hard. But for me, my colleging was kind of this great little bubble of like brilliance, you know, and getting to be kind of who I wanted to be and things like that. And at the end of that, and after being physically assaulted and having a kind of string of broken relationships and all of that good stuff, I went off to university. Now, if any of you have seen my outed at university video, then you know what's coming, because university to me was this huge opportunity to be myself and not tell anyone, and for the sacrifice of my long-term health to finally be worth it and things like that. And I got there and it was great for about 3 weeks, and then I was outed and it was terrible. I will link my outed at university video somewhere, and probably in a card just above me. So university was kind of ruined for me. Whilst I was at university, I also suffered in quite a few bad relationships, and I am a survivor of sexual assault, and that happened during my university schooling. But that wasn't because I was trans, that was just because of who I was seeing at the time. And then I left university, and I was still trying to live my life as an anonymous person. You know, I was passing as a trans woman. I still hadn't had my surgery yet. I was still pre-op. I had been on hormones since I was 18 because my hormones were delayed and I was meant to get them at 16 and blah, 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 blah. And so it was just kind of a few years of me just working and doing not a lot, just doing not a lot, you know, just existing and waiting to have surgery. And my whole life seemed to have become about me waiting for that. It was the one thing that I was just hoping for in my life, was like saving for that, preparing for that. And then after a few years of just kind of working, I decided, you know what, I'm tired of being ashamed of who I am. I'm tired of being ashamed for being transgender. And then in late kind of 2018, I decided to start living openly as a trans woman. I was working for a gallery at the time, and so I felt kind of like it was the place to be and the place to be open about being trans. And so yeah, I just decided to live my life openly. I got the opportunity to start being present on YouTube in early 2019, and despite how that ended and despite the kind of breakdown of that friendship, I will always be really grateful to have had that opportunity to share my story and who I am and all of that good stuff. And it really affirmed me as a person, and it made me feel so much better about myself. I know that you guys probably don't know the impact that you have on my life, but it's so great having the opportunity to live openly and be kind of a beacon for other people. And it does paint a big target on your back and a big target for some really scary things. But I love being open online with you guys, and it's just been the craziest kind of journey. This brings me to like kind of the happy ending of my trans journey so far, is that I underwent my gender reassignment surgery in February of this year when I was only 22. So I have always felt incredibly privileged that I get to say that I've lived more of my life as my true self than I have as my kind of imposter self. So I'm so grateful for that. I did have a lot of complications following my surgery, but it was so worth it and so affirming. And I love my new body, even though it's different to what I expected. I do love it. And it was just the most amazing experience. And it just shaped the rest of my life. And now my life is so much less of a focus on having surgery and just being myself, which is and continues to be absolutely amazing. So that's it, guys. That is my transgender journey so far. I didn't want to play this down, but I also wanted it to feel more upbeat than it was the last time. The last time I talked about this, I was in a much more fragile place, but that is my transgender journey. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you want more videos like this in the future, then please do let me know. As always, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel, maybe even hit the notification bell. And please feel free to head on over to my second channel, which I will be linking just there, and I will also be linking it just down there, called My Crazy Trans Life, where I will be sharing vlogs and unfiltered kind of life updates about being a trans person and living a crazy trans life. So my lovelies, that is it from me. I hope you have an amazing day. I hope you are staying safe. I hope you're feeling strong. And if you're not feeling strong, then please comment down below and I'll be happy to try and build you up. And I will see you guys very soon for another video.